How you do something is how you do everything. That's a phrase that has really accompanied me for so many years. And I also want to acknowledge that this phrase could be taken in a way that could be very oppressive. So when I had this dream when I was living in China to open a gym, and I wanted that to be my slogan because whenever I would work out, for me it was like really intense working out, and I would never give up. Like no matter blood, sweat, or tears, I would never leave a workout halfway, and I would remind myself that how I do something is how I do everything. And if I left this workout, I would have to, like, I would see myself as a failure because then that would define how I live my life. To a certain extent, that really helped me because it gave me a lot of power in believing that whenever I felt weak or whenever I felt I couldn't continue, maybe that was just a thought and that was a fear. And until one day when I was in China and I was in this boxing class and I was extremely weak. I wasn't eating, I was so skinny. And wow, I feel the emotion even again. Like, I couldn't continue. I went to the bathroom and I started bawling. I was crying. And I said, I cannot leave this class. I cannot leave this class. But I was so weak. I was super skinny. And I had no muscle anymore. I wasn't eating. And I had to leave that class. And that was the first time in my life where I felt like a failure in a workout and I gave up. And that's when I realized, like, maybe that wasn't giving up and that was what my body needed at that point, because it was telling me that, Sarah, you can't go on like this. And that put this phrase into perspective. And there was obviously a whole shift in how I needed to take care of myself. And this, how you do something is how you do everything. The way that I see it now, I see it with much more, I don't know if I would say compassion, but I would say, like, there's so much more art to it, you know? It's not like if I don't finish a workout, that means I'm a failure. No, that means there is something else going on that I need to listen to. So it's about listening to these messages. It's about, like, Hansel and Gretel leaving the breadcrumbs leading to the candy house. And it's about looking for those breadcrumbs. And maybe we might go astray. Maybe I thought this was a breadcrumb and it ended up being a dead beetle or something. And that's okay. But it's about realizing, it's about listening. So the way that I see this now is also very important to me. It's just a different context. And the way you do something is the way that you do everything. And the way that I feel that now is everything is symbolic. Everything is symbolic. And it's about listening to these symbols and knowing that it doesn't define me. I was just writing on my journal and I noticed how I have this burden that I feel that whatever I do defines me. And that's a very heavy way to live. Because if everything defines me, then that means that I either need to be punished or need to be praised. But then I stop listening because this idea of a definition, this idea of a construct for an image, it's very limiting. It's very, very, very limiting. So I noticed how I have this belief that if I don't do things perfectly, which God knows what that even means, or I don't do things to a certain degree that has to be better than whatever else I've done before, then I don't deserve happiness. Like, I don't deserve to see the light until I feel like I've done enough. But then I get stuck in this rut, and then I get stuck in this darkness. And noticing that it's not my actions that make me worthy or not. My actions are just determinants of what's going on the inside. And this is a brilliant analogy to our inner world regarding food and our body. So, our eating challenges are just symbolic representations of what's going on inside. So, if I did go for that cookie when I said I wasn't going to go for that cookie, There is no point in punishing myself because that doesn't determine who I am. That determines there's something going on that needs to be heard. And here the value is actually listening. So this is where the value is. It's not about ignoring it. It's like, oh, I ate that cookie. It's okay. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Because that could just be another way to abandon ourselves. Because maybe that compulsion is trying to show us something else. But here, the key point is that it's not about the cookie. It's really not about the cookie. We cannot make the cookie our enemy because then we're leaving ourselves and we're leaving listening to ourselves. We're straying away from that path of the breadcrumbs because we're trying to focus on something else, that was the demon at this point. There is no demon. There are just messages, and it's hard. It's hard, especially when that cookie becomes 20 cookies. But again, we need to keep on softening and listening. It's the only way that we can really hear the symbolic importance of these messages. So our actions don't define us, they give signs to where we're at and where we are desiring to go, or where our tension points are. So it's really about listening. So this phrase still means a lot to me. It's just in a different context. And it's really cool to see how one phrase could be so powerful, but if it stays rigid in a certain context, then it stops being something that can really take us to see what we really need to see. So what does this mean to you? How you do something is how you do everything. Does that ring anything for you?